Hey guys, Tammy here, and in this video, I want to talk about I have rights. I have parents that say this to me all the time. I have rights, or they're saying it to third parties. I have rights. You can't keep that information from me. You can't treat me this way. You can't do this. You can't do that. This almost always makes the situation worse when we're trying to assert that we have rights because we're asserting them in the wrong way. Almost every person that I see that does it in the wrong way. So I'm going to tell you what the wrong way is so that you can avoid that. And then I'm going to tell you how to do it the right way. Let me just remind you, as always, if you like the content and find it helpful, don't forget to hit like on this video. And if you are one of the 70% of my viewers that have not yet subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do that. It will notify you when new videos are released. It also helps more people find me, and just gets this information out to more people. So please help me help others by doing that. Our first instinct when somebody tells us we can't have information or do something in regard to our child is kind of that feeling of like, well, I'm the parent. Like, who are you to tell me? And I think I see this come into play more frequently with unmarried parents because that's kind of a situation where you're not married. Maybe dad's on the birth certificate. Maybe he's not. There's a lot of times not court orders in place yet when these kinds of things are going on. And we're just kind of caught in this dilemma where we don't have any like cold hard proof to give to people to show certain things. I mean, obviously a birth certificate will show that you're the parent or whatever. But again, like if you're dad and you're not on the birth certificate, then that doesn't help you either. Right. And people tend to go, I have rights. And I want to share a little story to kind of help you kind of grasp this concept a little more concretely. So my late husband, Thomas, who was an attorney, had a client many, many years ago. I would say maybe about 8 years ago now. And the client came in, had been self-representing for, I think, about a year and a half, 2 years, and had started out with 50-50 custody of his child, who was about 13 or so at the time. He and mom had all kinds of conflict and they were in court over and over and over again. And eventually an attorney was appointed for the child. And mom started saying that the child was having all these health issues that dad didn't believe the child was having, and started saying all this different stuff that dad just didn't think was true. And so dad needed to obtain records from hospitals and ERs where the child had been taken different places and, therapists and all these different things. The problem is that dad was a little bit of a gruff guy. And his way of dealing with that was by going in and saying, I have rights. I'm the father. I am entitled to my child's, information, and I am joint legal. And he was so aggressive about it. And he was kind of a big guy, not heavy, but just like a big, firm, stocky, like muscular guy, right? Like he was intimidating physically, right? Like just looked like he could just beat you, right? So that didn't help anything. And he would go in and he would be like, I have rights. I want this information. And he essentially just got doors slammed in his face over and over and over again. So he came in to hire my husband to help him with his case. And my husband took the case on. And one of my first calls with him was like, okay, we need to obtain these records. Oh, I've already tried. You can't get them, blah, 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 blah. So I called the place up and I said, hey, we're attorney's office for the dad. We're looking to get these records. And, I'm just wondering, what do you need from us? What kind of information do you need to be able to release these records to dad? And she was like, oh, well, we need a court order. It needs to be certified. I need that sent to us. Once we have it, we can produce the records. You'll get them within X amount of time, whatever. And I said, okay, where do we send it? Do I need to mail a hard copy? Can I fax it? How do I get it to you? So she gave me all the information. I sent in all the stuff. I got the records back that we had requested. So then I follow up with dad and I say, hey, we've got the records back that were trying to get. And he's like, how did you do that? And it's kind of like, well, I stopped long enough to ask questions, right? I stopped attacking that person. If you go in and you're attacking that person and you're being kind of frustrated and you're accusing them of trying to harm you or trying to prevent you from getting information you're entitled to, or you put that person on the defensive. I see this happen a lot with like preschools with people where they'll be like, well, I'm the parent and I have rights, and the preschool's like, I don't want to get involved in this, right? Schools, preschools, therapists, whoever, they don't want to be caught in the middle of your conflict with the other parent. They've probably been through that a million times and it's stressful for them, and they don't always know. They don't know the law a lot of times around these types of issues any more than you do sometimes. And so they don't really know, like, is there a court order? Isn't there? Should there be? Do I need to ask for that? Whatever. They don't really know. So a lot of times if you just say, well, what would you need? They're like, I'm not sure. Let me ask my supervisor. I have people come back and say that too. They'll be like, I don't know. Let me ask what I even need to be able to give you what you're asking me for. But if you don't slow down and take a deep breath and not alienate that person in the first instance, you don't even get down to the point where you can figure out what they need to be able to give you the information that you're looking for. Okay, so you're immediately going in and making an enemy out of the one person that can actually help you. I see this a lot when I go into the court to file documents and things. People will be standing in front of the clerk that's filing the papers for them, and they'll be like being totally rude to the clerk or asking questions that the clerk isn't allowed to answer. They've got a sign right there that says clerk can't give legal advice, clerk can't, whatever. And they'll be asking the clerk, and the clerk's like, I don't know, you'll have to go down to we have in California, we have what's called the facilitator's office that helps self-represented parties. And the clerk will say, I don't know, you need to go down to the facilitator's office. And they can't, well, can't you just tell me, just tell me what form to use or just tell me what. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And it's not that that person is trying to be difficult or not helpful. It's that they have certain rules they've been given about what they can and can't do. And if they overstep those rules or don't follow them, they could lose their job. So they have to adhere to the rules that are put in place by the court. And then when you're angry at them and you attack them, then what do you think happens? Then they really don't want to help you. Then they really like shut down and they just become like, okay, here, bye, there you go do your thing, I don't know. and they don't want they don't want to touch it, they don't want anything to do with it. So you actually make your situation worse by attacking that other person. Step back, take a deep breath, don't let your emotions get the better of you. Put yourself in a mind frame where you're saying, look, I'm trying to advocate for this person. Like put yourself in a position of like being the representative or the advocate for the parent instead of the parent themselves. Okay. That might help you to kind of pull back on the emotional parts of this. And then just look at it from a logical perspective of like, what am I trying to accomplish? And honestly, if you can be kind to the person that's standing across from you, whether that's a court clerk, whether that's a medical records person, whether that's, a therapist, a pediatrician, whoever you're dealing with, if you can just say to them, hey, look, I'm not getting this information about my child. I don't know if you guys have a mailing list or if you have a file where you keep information on each parent and you send copies of things or appointment reminders or whatever. But, how could I get put on that list? And sometimes the answer is, look, only one parent's allowed to be on. Then that's a battle between you and the other parent, right? There's different issues around that. I'm not going to dive into that right now. But a lot of times it's a limitation of the system. I mean, I think a lot of systems now, because of how many co-parent situations we have, a lot of systems can accommodate multiple parents, multiple addresses. I know schools most of the time can accommodate doing mailings to both parents, all that kind of thing. But some places still have that limitation and are like, you know what, we can only notify one person or one phone number or whatever in our system. That number is the primary number. Okay, then there's nothing that person can do for you. Like that's the limit. And if you start getting pushback and they're just like, I'm sorry, that's all I can do. I'm sorry, that's all I can do. Then you can very kindly say, could I please speak to a supervisor? Can I talk to whoever is next higher up that could possibly help me find a solution to this? And usually they'll oblige. If you're being difficult, sometimes you get sent to the supervisor anyway, but that's not the impression you want to make. Okay. You want to go at this very kindly, very calmly in a way that doesn't say I'm attacking and I have rights. That's an attacking statement. That says I have rights and you're blocking me from exercising those rights. You don't want to approach it that way. You want to say, hey, look, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm the other parent and I'm not really getting any information about the child from your facility or your group or whatever. And I'm wondering, what do I need to do or who do I need to talk to? What information do I need to provide you so that I can be added on to receive the information about my child, right? And you get more flies with honey. That's just how life goes. So don't take your anger out on the person in front of you that might actually be the only person that can help you in this situation. If you'd like more help managing these types of situations and your emotions around them, you can go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There is information on that page where you can learn about my group coaching programs for moms and dads. You can also learn about my exclusive one-on-one VIP coaching services. And thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys next time.